welcome, Ronde. How's it going, man?
Good. Straight razor, by the way, if you're wondering.
Are you
Whereas I
gonna
have,
ask Ronde what he uses? You guys gonna
I don't know what the
exchange?
etiquette. I haven't been
No.
bald long enough to know what the etiquette is amongst bald people. Can
You
you,
know,
just say, hey, as a guy who doesn't have hair like me, I don't know. I don't know if you can just break that out.
It's awkward that you can hear all of that stuff. We're not talking behind your back.
Right. For the last 30 years. I've been
30
bald since I
years.
was 21, man. It went quick.
That just seems the straight razor always seemed dangerous to me. I need one of those, the foil handheld things.
Well, it took some practice.
Yeah.
It was not always a clean cut. So maybe I do need a manscape. Maybe I need a manscape when I was 21 years old. But
I
not
know.
anymore.
Too late to help you along the way. Now you could jump in now though. We got discount codes.
If Sam
No
gets a
doubt.
dome shaver, we'll try to send one your way as well.
Yes.
You can test it out.
I love it. I love it.
Our listeners helped us with the intro here. So they said Ronde's intro will be long. We have Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champ, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, which is kind of, those are weird second-team All-Pros, but 5-time Pro Bowler, NFL All-Decade team of the 2000s, and children's book author. Did we get enough of the accolades here for you?
You know what? For all the young fans out there, they could care less about everything you said before children's books author. Because every kid that I know that's, I don't know, let's say like 18 to 30, they always come up to me and say, they're kids to me at 30, but they come up to me and say, hey man, I read your books when I was younger. And I'm like, you're not doing me any favors making me feel like I'm old. Because we wrote those when we were 26 years old or something. And if they're reading them at that age. So, but they were good for us. We loved it. Children's book author was never something I thought I would be, but once I was so glad that we did it.
That's like George Foreman being just known for a grill, right? Oh, he's the grill guy. That's all he did was the grill.
Yeah. You know what? Fame, they say, and this is very true. Fame is impossibly fleeting. You forget everything you do at some point, and you're just what you are. So it's got to be children's book author. I'm down with that.
That's scary because, me and Steve are not as young as we used to be. We make all these references to, players like Ronde Barber, and it occurs to you how few people listening to us actually have any idea who half the players we reference even are. The thing is, I feel like you'd be perfect for today's NFL. The way the game is going, certainly this year, suddenly we're seeing, all these do-it-all defensive backs in particular front and center. These guys that are able to play the run, drop into coverage, play inside, play outside. Like you're tailor-made for today's NFL. Well,
that's it. That evolution's probably started when I was playing at the end of my career. I mean, the position that I quote unquote revolutionized, everybody likes to put that label on me. That started like in the early 2000s, but I played up till 2012. So, I mean, there's some contemporaries of mine that were first, second year players that are still playing now at that position. And I think some of the influence rubs off. But in the early 2000s, the need for what I did started to emerge because all this 11 personnel, we're going to put your third corner in the game, and then we're going to try to run the football. That guy's not normally a blitzer. Well, we turned me into a blitzer. It wasn't just a guy that was out there covering. That's commonplace now. How many Pro Bowls? I said 5 Pro Bowls. If when I was playing, they were voting Pro Bowl nickelbacks to the Pro Bowl, I probably would have had 15 Pro Bowls because the position has just gained so much relevance in today's football. So I don't disagree with you. You can keep lauding my exploits all you want. I mean,
What are you seeing from today's NFL defensively? I think there's a lot of talk about it's too high, but it's not necessarily the coverages. It's the way they're being disguised. High level, what are you seeing from just today's defenses across the league?
It's that, there's a lot of subterfuge that goes into today's defensive play calling. It's unique. I'll give it that. But at the end of the day, because when I look at film now, I kind of try to dumb it down to my level when I was playing. It's 3 deep, it's 2 deep, it's quarters. There's fire zones, there's man zones, and there's really nothing else. I mean, you can change fronts, you can change the look of the structure of the defense before the snap, but at some point 2 seconds into the play, it's got to reveal what it is. And it's ultimately the same stuff. Now, what's different is that there's different bodies doing the same roles that I did back in the day. So, you'll see defensive ends that are actually flat defenders in cover two, or defensive ends that are outside linebackers, if you will, edge players that are hook droppers in 3 deep, 4 under. And the whole goal is to muddle up the look for the quarterback and for the offense. And it's fun to watch, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, there's only so many different coverages you can run, right? There's only so many different ways you can look at it. I'd say the biggest thing is the prevalence of these zero blitzes. When Monty Kiffin was our D coordinator, we called zero, we called it bonsai. It was rare. I mean, maybe 2 or 3, 4 times a game. Now it shows up, first and second down, in normal down and distance situations, on the 30-yard line, on the minus 30-yard line. So I think play callers have evolved in that way, but defense is defense. It's all about hustling and hitting and running to the ball. When I look at Chicago Bears, they don't do anything special. They just run like hell, have a good tackling secondary, and they're winning.
So is that sort of prevalence of these unusual body type players doing a hybrid type of role, is that how Brian Flores is having such amazing success right now? Because he's got this hex on the Shanahan offense. He's made Brock Purdy look lost. He's made CJ Stroud look lost. And then you're like, well, maybe Aaron Rodgers, guy that's seen everything, maybe he'll be able to diagnose what he's seeing and combat it. And nope, Rodgers, same thing. Like air mails and interception. How is Flores getting this done, given what you said? Like, defense is defense. We've seen it all before. It's just packaged differently.
Right. I would love to be able to take credit for what I'm getting ready to say, but I read this somewhere because I was over in London when they played that Jets game. I was doing some stuff for the NFL, and as I was just studying up, looking at Flores, and I'm very familiar with Brian. I know him from covering him when I was doing games. But someone said his defense is position agnostic. And I was like, man, what a great definition for what Brian Flores does, because any player, like a defensive lineman could be a damn safety in his defense, right? His safeties are pressure guys or hook droppers or edge players, or it doesn't matter. They're fun to watch because you just don't know who's going to show up at any particular position. And so it's like organized chaos. And I don't know how he's gotten his guys to buy into this, or to teach all of 11 guys are on the field, basically all 11 positions. I mean, maybe the D tackles are the only 2 that don't stand up and end up at different parts on the field. But when you watch, the players buy into his scheme, you can tell that they're loving it. Josh Metellus, right? The safety / linebacker / edge guy. I mean, he plays everywhere on the field, and it's no wonder why, like, a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's seen everything, is dropping back and like, oh my God, where the hell do I throw this football? I don't know. The guy that I thought was going to be in the middle of the field is now rushing the passer. The guy that I thought was going to be rushing the passer is now, a guy in the flat. Like, it's so confusing to figure out how he does it, but it's a pretty well-oiled machine, man. And he's got those guys flying around and having fun. It looks like they're having fun doing it. So he's found his niche, and they love it. It's great defense, I think.
It's interesting to me, too, because this isn't exactly what he was doing in Miami. It's not what he was doing in New England. Like, he's really developed this in Minnesota. Last year it evolved, and then this year, it's taken another step. So it's he continues to change, right? Because we always talk about people having their system. Flores is just changing his system every single year.
Right. Usually these things evolve because you're looking for different ways to impact the quarterback. And if you don't have dominant edge players, who was their guy that went to Houston? Danielle Hunter. Who was a guy you could just put down 4 down linemen, put him on the edge and say, go win, and he would win. They've had those type of players over the years. They don't really have that right now. Jonathan Greenard from Houston has got 5 sacks, I think, or at least he did prior to that game. Pat Jones having a career year, but they're not dynamic edge guys that can just go win here and there any particular play. So you manufacture it. So you create defenses that cause confusion, and manufacture rush that way. And they do a lot of that, what do you call it? The simulated rushes where, it looks like a linebacker's inserting, but it's really only a four-man rush. You're doing that to try to create pressure. And I think he's done a good job using the personnel to do that. And I think good D coordinators evolve and find ways to create pressure without, just as traditional four-man rushes.
So Flores has been extremely innovative, and then one of the things that has changed in the league since you retired, Ronde, is the innovation on offense and the prevalence of running quarterbacks as part of the design running game. So I want to talk a little Bucs Ravens in their matchup this week. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry in the same backfield. It's been as advertised, at least since week one. How can the Bucs slow down that duo and really this entire Ravens offense?
One way, don't let them rush for 200 yards, because if they rush for 200 yards, they're winning. Obviously I was studying up on the Ravens prior to this week because, I just like to be informed when I start talking about my Bucks. I still call them my Bucks, even though I haven't played there in 13 years.
You're a Bucks legend. They are your Bucks, yes.
They're still my Bucks. My name's still in the stadium, dude. 274 yards versus Dallas, 271 rushing yards versus Buffalo. What they've created out of that offense is well, let me go back because you mentioned running quarterbacks. So that evolution has definitely evolved. I mean, there was maybe a handful of them when I was playing, but what happened in college is now in the pros. That's translated all the way back down to middle school and high school, where that player is the guy with the ball all the time now in football across all levels. And now that it's in the NFL, defenses have had to adjust to deal with rushing quarterbacks. Guys that obviously like Lamar, Jaden Daniels now, watched him week one against the Bucks. It's a problem, right? We all know that it's a problem. But you add into the mix a guy like Derrick Henry, who leads the league in everything, rushing-wise, touchdown, yards, et cetera, et cetera. You get this dynamic that says, what I normally do on defense, I have to go away from and find ways just to stop these two guys, right? Not to mention Zay Flowers, not to mention the tight end, not to mention anybody else that may or may not get the ball. But you got to say, those guys have to beat us. Lamar and Derrick Henry can't beat us, because if they go off, it's a shootout, and Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and all those guys got to score a bunch of points, which could happen. Bucks have had the ability to do that this year. But if you're Todd Bowles and you're scheming up this game, you're stopping those two guys. And thankfully for Tampa, from my perspective, thankfully for Tampa, they run a lot of a loaded box stuff. They run a lot of 3 deep. They put a lot of pressure on their corners. They have a great safety in Antoine Winfield. They have the ability to find ways to stop this run game. And I look forward to seeing them try to do it. I think it's going to be a fun game, but nobody else has done it. The 274, 271 games were followed up by 175 and 176. So if they get over 175 yards rushing, the Ravens are going to win. They've won 4 in a row, just bludgeoning people in the run game. It's pretty impressive.
Ronde, I know you've been studying these rookie wide receivers, especially some of those high-end first-rounders. What are you seeing from some of the rookies at wideout so far?
Yeah, doing a little hit today on 33rd team for at least the 3 guys at the top: Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, and Neighbors. All different, right? I did a kind of a mock-up on these guys before the draft. And I came out thinking that Dunze was this combat catch receiver. He wants people close to him because he's bigger, he's stronger, he's got phenomenal hands. He's shown that. I mean, his quarterback was a little erratic at the beginning of the year. Caleb has come on because I was in London last week as well and watched him just throw 4 touchdown passes and look like a 2 or 3 year vet. So I think his touches will go up as they find ways to utilize him. But he's like their 4th leading receiver. Marvin, with the nature of his quarterback, and Kyler Murray, he's more of a home run guy. He leads of all the rookies. I think he has the highest yards per catch. Most of those are his, Kyler getting out of the pocket, doing pirouettes or whatever, and then making monster throws down the field to Marvin. He's hurt, I think, this week, but he's just kind of a long guy. He's got some limitations, I think, because he drops the ball sometimes, and I'm like, how the hell did he drop the ball? Like his first ever attempt at a catch was the worst type of batted down ball you would ever see. But he is still a special player. But the best one to me is Neighbors. He's ridiculous. They use him in so many different ways in the slot, out of the backfield. He's got, I think Marvin's got 35 targets. Neighbors has 52 in that Giants offense, and that's not including the 2 games he missed. He's missed 2 games. He already has 52 targets on the year, and he's special. He does a little bit of everything, and they find ways, they manufacture ways to get him the ball specifically. He is by far the highest targeted guy of this rookie class. I think he looks like the most dynamic of all of them. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, a lot of that depends on their quarterback, but it's a good group this year.
It's obviously super early, and we're dealing with really small sample sizes with all these guys. But do you think that Marvin Harrison still has that kind of special ability? When we were at draft time, we were like, any one of these 3 guys would be the best wide receiver in most draft classes. And even though there were definitely a lot of people that had Neighbors as wide receiver 1, most people still thought Marvin Harrison is the cleanest, the best prospect of this group and the best for years. And yet he's the one where through the first sort of 6 weeks, it's like, it hasn't quite looked the same.
Right. I think so. To me, he's got the pedigree, of course, right? So a lot of the hype around Marvin Harrison Jr. comes because his dad's a Hall of Famer and was impossible to cover. Trust me, I know. He is, I think, the best kind of pure wide receiver in terms of he's eminently looking like he can go by you. That's as a corner, if you're off or on the line of scrimmage, the threat of him going by you is real. Like you feel it. You see it when he's on his tape now. Corners are out there and they just know that my hips have to be open maybe a yard or 2 quicker. If I get down the field, he's got the length to make the play over me. What I see is he's not a natural catcher of the football. He's got good hands, but it's just not natural. He won't make that circus catch like Malik Neighbors will and has done. He won't make the really great combat catch like Rome Odunze has done already. But to me, as he grows and as he gets more familiar with kind of how to play the game at this level and at this speed, he'll find a way to utilize his skill set. He's longer and he's faster than any of the other 2 guys, and he's got a quarterback that sometimes is off schedule. That's the danger with Marvin Harrison Jr. from a defensive perspective. The off schedule plays, the ones where he's running around and Marvin Harrison gets free, are the ones where you've seen the big plays so far in his career. And I think that's always going to be a threat with him when he has that quarterback working with him. But I mean, we're like comparing apples to oranges here. They're both juicy and they both taste great. I don't think that I would give any kind of negative to Marvin Harrison's start to his career. I mean, he's a rookie. He'll get better. He's a heck of a talent, heck of a prospect.
Love it. Yeah, appreciate it, Ronde. This has been great. Enjoy having you on the show, and we'll have to do it again sometime. Great talking ball with you, man.
I'm available. I'm not doing much these days. Weather's getting nice here after the storms in Milton and Helene, and be sitting around watching ball. That's what I do.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely do it again then.
Yep. Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
Ronde.
Thanks, Ronde. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.